Meeting to order. If you would, please rise. I'm going to call on Commissioner DeMarcus Marshall to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Lord, I'd like to thank you for this day, the day that you blessed us with, one that we've never seen. I'd like to thank you for those who come out to participate in their local government. I'd like to pray for those who wanted to be here but could not be here. And dear Lord, we'd like to continue to ask you to bless those who are near and far, serving our country, as well as, Lord, we ask for peace in the Middle East and peace abroad. We ask, Lord, also that you bless our staff as they continue to strive to do the work of our citizens in this county. And dear Lord, I'd like to thank you for blessing me and blessing this commission for the ability to serve, and ask that you give us the wisdom to make decisions that are in the best interest of this county. All these blessings I ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. At this time, I think we have some folks with us from Leadership Lounge. If you don't mind, please stand so you can be recognized. Nice group. Thank you.
Which on the, no, you go ahead.
Okay. All right, this time I'd like to call on Mr. Todd Edwards. Todd Edwards is the Deputy Director of Governmental Affairs for ACCG, and he has a little special presentation for tonight. Todd? Welcome to Lowndes County.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission. Again, Todd Edwards, Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. ACCG serves all 159 Georgia's counties in a variety of purposes. In particular, we do legislative advocacy, and that's why I'm here tonight. Each year we give one of our this year, a 2024 Legislative Service Award. I'm honored to be presenting that to Representative John LaHood for various purposes, but primarily because of his work in Service Delivery Strategies Act over the past year and a half. It started with a joint study committee being appointed by the General Assembly over the 2023-24 interim. Several meetings around the state. They included ACCG, the Georgia Municipal Association. I believe one of the meetings was held here. Lowndes County participated, and as you know, sometimes it can be a rather sticky situation, these negotiations. Sometimes they can become contentious. I think there'll always be a little bit of that there, but we tried very hard, and he did, to improve the process. Resulting from that was House Bill 1407, which he was the sponsor. It did get through the General Assembly. This session was signed into law, again, with both the support of ACCG and GMA. It was no easy task getting all of us together. It took a while. It's not going to be anything monumental or groundbreaking, but it will, we believe, help in the negotiation process to avoid some of the contentions. Some of the steps that are provided in there are mediation, voluntary arbitration, mapping standards, and various other reasons or purposes. I won't go over them all here now, but it is with that I am happy to present, and I'll show it to you all, if I may, and then to the audience. One of ACCG's 2024 Legislative Service Awards, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, have Mr. LaHood come up and receive the award. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards, for the award, for the recognition, and I just want to thank the County Commission. Y'all hosted our second meeting of our Joint Study Committee on Service Delivery Strategy, and what a great meeting it was. The whole committee left here with lots of good information, good ideas that were shared from y'all's experience dealing with service delivery negotiations, dispute resolutions with the cities within Lowndes County, and y'all really led on this issue, and I appreciate it. From the very first phone call I made to Chairman Slaughter and County Manager Paige Dukes, y'all were just a wealth of information, and even county attorney, Walter Elliott, was very involved through the process, as well as the major cities here in Lowndes County. So it was a group effort, and I believe we ended up with policy that's really good for our citizens, and that's what it's all about. So I appreciate y'all's help with it, and appreciate the time this evening.
Well, thank you, John. And I'll just add to that, John, it was a pleasure participating in this meeting. You ran the meeting very well. There was a lot that everybody was able to learn and a lot that everybody was able to contribute, as you said, to this process. I feel like personally the legislation that you ended up drafting and was passed is legislation that is going to make that process a little bit easier for all of the communities involved. You told me late in that process that everybody won't get everything that they want, but we'll get something that will be better for everybody, and that's exactly what you delivered. And so I'm very, very appreciative of it, because I do personally feel like that it's going to really help us through this process as we move forward in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Slaughter. Thank you, Commission. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, inside your packet, you have your minutes of the work session of April the 22nd, as well as your regular session minutes of April the 23rd. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We'll now move to agenda item 6A, and this is our one appointment tonight. This is to the Hospital Authority of Valdosta in Lowndes County. Ms. Dukes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. The term of Ms. Shirley Garland will expire June the 1st, 2024. The names of Mrs. Shirley Garland, Mrs. Elsie Napier, and Mrs. Helen Baker have all been submitted for consideration by the Hospital Authority, and the Hospital Authority recommends the reappointment of Ms. Shirley Garland.
Good. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? Hearing none, I'll open the floor up for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Ms. Shirley Garland back to the authority.
Okay, we have a motion then for Ms. Shirley Garland. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations, and Ms. Shirley Garland will be reappointed back to the Hospital Authority of Valdosta and Lowndes County by acclamation. All right, our first public hearing item is agenda item 7A, and this is in the abandonment of a portion of Racetrack Road Southeast. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. Thank you. On March 12th, 2024, the Lowndes County Board of Commissioners determined the subject portion of Racetrack Road Southeast has ceased to be used by the public to the extent that no substantial public purpose is served by it. Notice has been published and given to the adjoining property owners as required by the Georgia statute, and this item is ready for a public hearing.
All right, Commissioners, any questions for Mr. McLeod? No, sir. All right, hearing none, we'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners and Chairman. Bill Nigel, 1007 North Patterson Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Happy to answer any questions y'all have about this one.
Any questions for Mr. Nigel? No. I think it's
Thanks,
clear.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Motion to adopt the resolution abandoning a portion of Racetrack Road Southeast.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the abandonment of the portion of Racetrack Road Southeast. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7B is REZ 2024-07. This is the Hester property located on Skipper Bridge Road. This involves 2.5 acres. It's currently EA. The request is for RA, and it will be served with well and septic. Mr. Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. As discussed yesterday, Mr. Hester is requesting to rezone a portion of this property to RA in order to develop a legal conforming lot in accordance with the ULDC. You'll notice that it is within an agricultural character area, and there are no wetlands on the property. Again, rather rural area, low-density population. With that being said, the TRC analyzed the request, the standards governing this exercise of zoning powers, and noting the adjacent property owners and density patterns, recommended approval of the request. The Planning Commission also heard the same request in April, and also heard from the applicant, who was unable to be here tonight, and voted unanimously 8-0 to recommend approval of the request for EA to RA.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Dillard?
There was no objections from any of the neighbors, you said?
No, sir.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we'll open the public hearing portion of the meeting up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve with the condition of no mobile homes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7C is REZ 2024-08. This is River Road, located at 4374 River Road. This involves 15 acres. It's currently R21. The request is for a PD, and it will be served by county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Yes, sir, thank you. As requested, the applicant is proposing a planned development of approximately 53 residential units, 54 total lots here, including green space. In 2022, you'll recall this property was requested to go to RA zoning, but was ultimately denied by the Commission 3-2 at that time. Future land depicts it as within the urban service area and suburban character area. It does have access along River Road. And you'll notice that the only wetlands on the property are the very southern portion as it leads down to Hickory Branch. You'll also notice that the property significantly falls off from River Road, approximately 37 feet overall. Now, the TRC did analyze the request. The standards governing zoning power set forth in 10.0105 of the ULDC, and the factors most relevant, as noted here, including the rural residential character of the area, the existing low-density land patterns, the availability of county utilities, the topography of the subject property, and the proposed site plan, and recommended the following approval with conditions as noted in your packet here. Duplexes are not allowed. The side yard setbacks on all lots are 8 feet. Lots 42 and 54, access from the western property line only. When dwellings are within 16 feet of each other, fences are not allowed to be constructed in the side yards between them. Accessory structures are allowed per lot, no more than 2 structures, totaling no more than 400 square feet combined, located in the rear yard only, and no less than 5 feet from the side and rear property lines. Landscaping and buffering, consistent with ULDC Section 407, a landscape buffer of a minimum of 4 shade trees per 100 linear feet shall be planted around the north, east, and west exterior boundaries and the western lot line of Lot 55. That's the interior green space. There shall also be no on-street parking allowed. The Planning Commission heard this request at their meeting and had considerable discussions regarding the site plan, the conditions proposed, and recommended approval with modified conditions, particularly of Condition 2, that spoke to side yard setbacks being 6 feet, and clarifying Condition 4, that when the dwellings are within 16 feet of each other, fences may be constructed in the side yard if they begin and extend out from the rear corner of the building. So, again, this is a history of other properties in Lowndes County that have been rezoned with similar setbacks, property sizes. Again, these are just some preliminary plat notes. Note number 7 regards setbacks here. And again, more preliminary plat notes. You notice the proposed lot size here on the bottom, 1,200 to 1,500 square feet with 1 or 2 car garages. And then again, the total number of lots to be proposed. With that being said, you can note the conditions here that the TRC recommended and the Planning Commission, with again, the difference of Condition 2 and 4. And again, the TRC had additional considerations regarding lot size, interconnectivity, off-street parking, things like that, that weren't shown on the site plan themselves. But with that being said, the overall site plan as presented here was recommended with approval of the conditions modified 7-1.
Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. I'm J.D. Yeager, 50% owner of Building Valdosta. My address is 5427 Sycamore Run in Hayhira. The only thing I really want to do is answer any questions you got, but the two statements. We are trying to build affordable housing. There are many, many people out here paying $1,200, $1,400, $1,600, $1,800 a month to rent an apartment that don't want to, but they can't find a house to buy. Your young airmen at Moody, your bottom level employees that are coming in for the Walmart dairy, Glass, all the industry that we're bringing in, we need that and we want that. They don't have any place to live because they can't afford it. So we're trying to develop that. The only dissenter at the planning commission was about the setbacks because he said that we couldn't get fire trucks between the house. I have yet to see a fire truck go between the houses in Nelson Hill or any other subdivision of this caliber. The only other question was privacy fences. You can't build a house on that size lot without putting a privacy fence across every backyard. And we agree that the back corners is where it should start, 100%. We've never wanted to put houses or privacy fences between those houses. We've also had some conversation, and we will agree for access purposes for the fire department such as that we're gonna put all the AC units, outside units, on the back side of the house. They won't be on the sides of the house to create that additional 4 feet of block space. So you got 12 feet that you'll be able to get between the houses at a 6-foot setback. We also want to put a house on it that is within the $250,000 price range, so people can afford to buy those houses that can't buy these 350s and 500s that we've been having to build. But we don't want to put a cracker box on these things either. And with 8-foot side setbacks, then that diminishes our ability to build a house and have enough square footage to have something that people can enjoy living in. The 6-foot side setbacks with the front and rear setbacks that we have will allow us to build 1,500 square feet. I'll answer any questions you got.
Any questions?
What are the sales prices expected to be?
We're hoping to be in the 250.
JD, is that affordable housing? 250. I've been out of the housing market for years. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this, because Clint did this research for the planning commission. He researched from South Dasher, east and west, to the county line on the north end of town. $250,000 market. There are 5 new constructions in the entire county, and those are under construction. If it's there, it flows off the market before you can get it built. So that's the affordable. The 250s where the 115 used to be.
I had a question just pertaining to the siding. Are we looking at concrete siding?
No, sir. We're looking at vinyl siding.
Vinyl siding. Okay. I left the location a few minutes ago. The individual that living on that 1-acre lot expressed concerns and would like for you all to put a fence somewhat bordering her, I guess, so she wouldn't have to be.
Now, are you talking about on the Campbell side, or are you talking about on the opposite? But, well, it doesn't matter, Marcus, because every backyard will have a privacy
Oh, not
fence.
the backyard, River side.
On the River Road side?
River Road side, there's a trailer or 1-acre lot.
Next to the house?
That's-
The driveway divides the
That's
trailer
correct.
and the house?
Yes, she
Right.
wanted a divider of some sort because it's a bus stop there each morning And I guess the assumption is that once the subdivision is put in, of course, that will still remain as a bus stop.
But I believe that's gonna be the backyard of the houses are going to back up to her lot line right there in her mobile home, so there'll be a privacy fence all the way across.
Oh, it's going to be, so it's going to be a privacy fence across the back
Yeah.
of her home. That's
Yeah.
that's basically what was asked, yeah.
Aaron, can we see that
Am I
layout
right?
again?
I'm right. I know that,
Yes, thank you.
yes.
All right, so where are we talking about, Commissioner Marshall?
Where he's talking about, Scotty, is if you're looking at it where it comes in from River Road, it would be the first lot right there, on the right-hand side of the entryway going in from River Road.
What number lot?
Well, it don't have a lot number on her property. Hers is in white, and it's got a, what's that, a B5?
Can you pull it closer, Aaron, I guess, so you
Right
can see
there.
River
All right,
Road?
that would be that lot line.
Yes.
So it would be in the backyard of those two houses right there, so those two houses will have privacy fences right there,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay, any other questions? Right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? All right, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the rezoning request with the GLPC conditions.
With the GLPC conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion then to approve the request with the GLPC conditions. Are there any of the additional considerations you'd like to consider? Or are you good with just those?
I'm good with just those.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote with a show of hands. All in favor signify by aye, or raise your hand, please. All right, it's unanimous. All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 7D, and this is REZ 2024-09. This is the Dasher Grove subdivision. This is a portion of 193 acres. It's R1 to R1. Currently, the request is for R10 and CG, and this will be served by county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Yes, sir, thank you. As you'll note here on the site plan coming up, the request is for multiple zonings, including R1, R10, and commercial general. You'll note the existing zoning pattern of a suburban density. It is in the suburban area, and county utilities are available, and thus all the zonings recommended have been analyzed by the TRC and recommending approval. The wetlands are still being delineated, so the preliminary site plan you see is subject to change, but it is noted that the wetlands are there and currently under jurisdiction. This is the proposed conceptual layout of the subdivision here. You'll note approximately 297 lots at R10 density there. In the orange, including the wetlands, you'll note the future commercial general portion there along Valdell. And then you see the future development to the right-hand corner there, which is actually the south end of the property behind Azalea Commons. And that's being reserved as an R1 property. This overall request follows the 2002 master plan of Grove Point, which has been developed out more or less to that red dashed line there. And you'll see the pattern. The applicant is now requesting that remaining 193 acres to follow the existing pattern, and their approximate site plan does tend to follow that plan as shown here. With that being said, TRC analyzed the request, standards of exercise zoning power, the adjoining suburban land uses, the various wetland locations, the county utilities, and the future road improvements to Valdell, recommending approval of R1, R10, and CG as depicted on the Dasher Grove conceptual layout that you just saw, with the following conditions. 1, all lots shall front interior roads, and 2, the owner of the subject property shall provide public road vehicular access to and from Valdell Road within 120 days of the recording on the real estate records of the clerk of the Superior Court of Lowndes County of a plat or plats of a portion or portions of the subject property, which include a total of 120 or more residential lots. The Planning Commission heard this request, and again, some spoke in opposition regarding the concerns of traffic. The Planning Commission recommended approval with modified that instead of 120 residential lots tripping the 120 days, that it be upgraded to 200 lots before the requirement to connect to Valdell Road. That motion was recommended approval 6-2.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Dillard? Yes, sir.
Jetty, the original 2002 master plan versus the plan now, and you may have said this, if you did, forgive me, but there's not a significant difference in the number of lots that we're adding here now versus what we were looking at in 2002, right?
It's a little difficult to say because this includes a mixture of densities, including R1. You'll also note it had townhomes at the time. So that
Gotcha.
northwest corner there behind Valwood School was proposed townhomes. That has since been come back, about 8,000 plus square foot lots. So again, single family is proposed throughout this entire development. The overall density, again, relatively comparable given market conditions throughout the years. I mean, this is 20 years in the making, so.
Fair enough, okay, good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Do we have any recent traffic studies in that particular area?
Yes, sir. We have a 2022 traffic study that was done as part of the scoping for the Valdell widening. The average daily traffic count was 8,164 along Valdell. And that was the 2022 number.
Any other questions?
Would the wetlands, once the delineation's complete and all that's done, would that change the number of single-family dwellings that goes on this? Has that question come up?
It is potential that it could change the overall lot count. The applicant and the engineer are here who better be able to determine how much they believe. Staff is of the opinion that that total lot count might increase, but not significantly. If it were to go over 400, it would trigger development of regional impact, which would just require additional layer of scrutiny from adjoining neighbors, surrounding counties. But right now, the plans are approximately 300 to 350 is staff's best estimate based on current wetlands. But again, the applicant and the engineer here who might be able to better give you an update on the current status.
But our engineering department will reevaluate that once it's done, and we'll have to approve that layout for those wetlands, the development within those wetlands, if there are any. Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, JD.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dillard,
Sir.
tell us again when the widening of Valdell is supposed to take place?
That's Mr. McLeod.
So that would be Mr. McLeod.
So the, the widening of Valdell is proposed on the current T-Splosh 2 referendum. If passed, the earliest we would see any activity is 2027, which we've got to let T-Splosh 1 finish and then begin collections for T-Splosh 2 if it passes.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard.
JD, I have another question also.
Yes, sir.
One more
Given,
question.
given that we are, I guess, in the process of the luxury apartments and what have you taking place, and the intersection improvement at North Valdosta Road taking place in August, do we have a projected time frame that they may begin this development that will make it where it be easier on the residents who live on Valdell Road?
I believe the applicant can answer when they propose to begin development. How that impacts the North Valdosta improvement, Valdell, I would defer to Mr. McLeod on that, but the applicant might be able to better determine when they will start developing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Howard Dasher. I live at 987 South Lakeshore Drive in Valdosta. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Mr. Dillard did a pretty good job summarizing where we are today. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there were a few. And
Any other questions you didn't get answers to?
It would just,
The 120 versus 200 homes, talk to me a little bit about that, and is that absolutely critical and necessary? And what is your time frame, to Commissioner Marshall's point, what's your time frame for development? How do you see all that kind of coming together?
Well, to answer the second part first, we're planning on selling lots next spring for the first phase. With regard to the number of lots sold before we extend the road all the way through, right now, the plan is to put half of the lots, do the road about halfway, so we can develop off of that into the subdivision. And then once those are full and sold, generate enough money to build the second half of the road, because it's a very expensive road. The 120, when I was talking to Mr. Dillon earlier, the number's a little bit arbitrary because I don't know what the costs are. I don't know what the cost of that road is. I don't know what the cost of my lots to be developed is. So I asked for a little bit of wiggle room to the TRC. And so, we requested 200, and they thought that was reasonable. It is certainly in our, we do want to put the road through. I mean, I think it's, to our advantage eventually, because I think it's a selling point for some of the lots. Just gives people additional access. I do understand the concerns on Valdell. It's not going to be immediate. At 2 or 3 phases, you're probably looking at 4 to 6 years, which may coincide well with the widening of Valdell. And as a matter of fact, we might be able to work with the county at that time, finishing up where it's going to connect, to make it, the process a little bit more seamless. Instead of putting something in there, then having them redesign around us, we could just work together. And then, whenever they're doing their widening. But it wouldn't be an immediate impact to Valdell. My estimate would be 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, I would think probably 2 years per phase. You have to build it, then you have to sell it, then you have to let them build their houses and sell them before you do the next phase. You don't want to flood the market with too many lots. So that's just kind of the thought process.
Makes sense to me.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dasher.
Thank you.
Good evening, Matthew Inman, Advanced Engineering. I'm the engineer for the project, 4560 Val North Drive. Scotty, answered your question earlier about the density. We're asking for an R10 zoning, but our plans are to do a 14,000 square foot lot, pretty similar to what was the southern, I think it was phase 5. That was the lot size we're kind of going for. We're not going for the maximum density we could get. And as far as the number of wetlands, the wetland rules are changing by the day. They change. It's never on the side of the developer as much as they want it to be, and it never seems to be as good as we hope they're going to work out as. So as far as that density changing, it could change some, but I would expect maybe 5 or 10% at most. It's not going to be significantly different in a lot of those areas. There are some little pockets of wetlands out there that may be declared isolated that we may get some back, but those are we kind of got Shawn's Park areas for most of those. Gotcha. As far as Valdell Road, this is the Tier 1 project. My understanding from Mike Fletcher talking with the county engineer. This is the #1 priority, on the county's list for doing Valdell. And if the connection of that many cars onto Valdell Road is the biggest concern with the project, just delay us making that connection. The county's asking us to make that connection through to Valdell Road. If that's that big a concern, we'll delay that connection, because we're only putting that connection in because we're being asked to after a certain amount of lots. As Howard's mentioned, we've got to sell a number of lots to be able to afford to buy that road, to pay that section of road, because we're not selling any lots on that thoroughfare road. That main road, no lots get sold off the entire thing. And Scotty will tell you, you don't make money if you don't sell lots off of them. So, that road to be sold through there, we need to sell a lot of lots. So pushing it back helps keep people off of Valdell Road, and also helps the developers sell enough lots to be able to afford it.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve with the 2 conditions.
I'm sorry?
I move we approve the rezoning with the 2 conditions.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with the conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote with a show of hands. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman,
Motion carries.
if I may, was that the condition for the 120 or 200 lots?
120.
For at the 120 lot count? Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll move on then to agenda item 7E, and this is REZ 2024-10. This is for Mineola Holding LLC. It's located at 3974 Old US Highway 41. This involves .69 acres. It's currently R21, and the request is for OI, and it will be served by county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the request here is from R21 to OI in order to be developed in similar fashion to the adjoining property to the southeast there, which is currently known as Tillman Insurance Agency. You'll see here on the pattern, you see the commercial zoning. In 2004, this property was actually requested to go to commercial neighborhood commercial zoning. And in 2004, it was recommended denial by the Planning Commission at that time and ultimately withdrawn before the Board of Commissioners took final action on it. You'll note here that it is within a neighborhood activity center character area surrounded by it, but this particular piece of property is within the suburban character area. And again, no wetlands on the property to speak of. So the TRC did analyze the request, the standards governing the exercise of zoning powers, including the adjoining suburban and commercial land uses patterns, the availability of county utilities, the existing landscaping and buffering, and therefore recommends approval of the request for OI with one condition, that the existing vegetation along Kelly Way and the northeastern property line shall remain undisturbed and, if damaged during development, shall be replaced in accordance with the Section 40706 of the ULDC. Planning Commission heard this and recommended approval with the condition as well, 8-0 at their April meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Dillard? All right, we'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting for this agenda item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Commissioners, I believe I'm on the record, but again, Bill Nigem, 1007 North Patterson Street, here on behalf of the applicant. Appreciate the presentation, Mr. Dillard. He did hit the high points. As y'all know, this area has changed a lot since 2004. 41 has been widened. You know, when we looked at this and coming back before the commission for a rezoning, one of the things we did want to consider was the residential neighborhood along Kelly Way right there that has been there a long time, and felt like some of the uses with commercial zoning were a little maybe too intensive for a hard corner right there when you come into that subdivision. So that's why we've opted for office OI zoning instead. I think this is something that, you know, as Dan and Hamilton Tillman look at it, they're a little hemmed in with their building they have on 41 there. They're growing and thinking about expanding that office building or doing some sort of office development right there in the future. So we would ask that you follow the Planning Commission recommendation. The applicant is perfectly fine with the conditions that are proposed, and we will try and maintain those buffers along Kelly Way and on the back of the property as well. So happy to answer any questions y'all have, and if you don't, I'll take a seat.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Nigel?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
y'all.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve with the one condition. I move we approve with the one condition.
With the conditions?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion to approve with the conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, with a show of hands, all in favor signify by aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Motion carries. All right, agenda item 7F is REZ 2024-11, Quarterman Estates. This is 4454 Whitewater Road. This involves 3.66 acres. It's R1 and R21 to R10, and it will be served with county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Yes, sir. These two properties in question were originally rezoned in 2005 and 2006 to R15 to match the existing proposed the existing conditions for Quarterman Estates at that time, and then in 2006, when the county updated its ordinances, the R-15 went away and the R-21 and R-1 reverted back on those properties. You see it is within the suburban area, and again, there are wetlands noted on the property, and you'll see here in the approximate site plan. Property has been more or less cleared for future development, and you see the proposed amount of lots here. You'll note the zoning conditions there in the bottom left-hand corner where they approximately intersect this property. Again, here it is overlaid on the existing property from an aerial view, lining up with Williams Road there in the southeast. And then pulling back, you can see how this would complete out the Phase 5 Quarterman Estates currently presented there. With that being said, again, TRC analyzed the request, the standards governing zoning powers, and including the adjoining residential suburban land uses and zoning patterns. The county utilities recommended approval for R10. The GLPC also recommended approval unanimously 8-0 at their meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Any questions from Mr. Dillard? Okay, hearing none, then we'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward again, Mr. Nigem. For the records, please give us your address.
Bill Nigem, 1007 North Patterson Street, here on behalf of the applicants. This is really an application brought in conjunction with county staff to correct the zoning map and make it consistent with the rest of Quarterman Estates. So happy to answer any questions y'all have on this as well.
Any questions for Mr. Nigem? Thank you, Mr. Nigem.
Thank y'all.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, with a show of hands, all in favor? It's unanimous. Motion carries. We'll now move to REZ 2024. This is agenda item 7G. This is 2024-12. This is for Vicki King. It is located at 4829 Carter Lane. This involves 2.98 acres. It's RA requesting R1, and this will have well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I promise I'll yield after this, sir. We do have a request by Ms. King to rezone her property from RA to R1. You'll note the existing R1 pattern there surrounding the property. It is within a rural residential future land use depiction, and which does recommend R1. One thing to note is the groundwater recharge area, which requires lots to be a minimum 1.25 acres, which the applicant is aware of. This had a preliminary survey done. Again, these lines can be moved to accommodate that additional increase in acreage there. But overall, staff recommends approval, and the Planning Commission also recommended approval at their April meeting, 8-0. The applicant is hoping to subdivide the property for a single residential unit in the back.
Any questions from Mr. Dillard? All right, hearing none, we'll open up the public hearing portion on this agenda item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, with a show of hands, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Commissioners. We'll now move on to agenda item 8A, and this is the Hall Road Paving and Drainage Project Agreement with the Transportation Improvement Act. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. The board approved submitting the TIA local government application for project delivery at the March 12th, 2024 meeting. GDOT has approved that application and sent staff the project agreement to be approved. The project agreement is required to be executed prior to beginning any work.
Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve and authorize you to sign the agreement.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 8B is Pronto Consulting LLC's agreement. This is the amended Schedule A. Ms. Roundtree.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners,
Good evening.
County Manager and Attorney. How y'all doing? What you have in front of you today is an amended schedule to the Pronto Consulting contract that was signed May 31st, 2019 with Lowndes County Probation. The amended schedule in front of you is just removing the discounted fee that was offered to Lowndes County Probation by the company. Removing this fee it does not have an impact on the budget.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Roundtree?
What can it impact?
So, yesterday, with the help of Aaron, could you help me again with that, Aaron? And this is some IT part, so this is my case management software, so Aaron, if you would, help me again today?
Yes. Sorry, please ask the question again, if you would.
What can this impact since it does not impact the budget?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a question for you. I'm sorry, I was prepared from yesterday. It really doesn't impact anything. The cost has already been budgeted in with the amount that I've presented on my budget for the year.
Well, what I was getting at is, since we're getting rid of that agreed-upon fee, is there a chance that they will come back and raise the fee?
I mean, in considerable next year, they probably could, just because the cost of everything is going up.
Inflation.
Yes, the inflation of everything is going up. They could, yes, sir.
So this is an
But-
annual contract?
It is annual now, yes, sir.
So our
Yeah, the
discount,
current
But-
contract, all they're doing is
It's just-
removing the discount that they were giving. It was not in the contract, if I understand correctly,
is
that the
correct.
discount would be there. They're just removing the discount, so the contract still stands as it is.
And we're here for approval of the renewal of the contract. We always
Yes.
mention the funding source and any changes to that, but because it is an annual contract, we need to come before you all for approval of the contract
Yes.
renewal.
still pretty
Thank you.
janky that they took the discount away from us after offering it to us. And I
Well-
think to Commissioner Weisenbaker's point, I think we're saying that, you know, what's gonna happen next? You know, is it gonna continue to rise?
So all of
or-
our software contracts, and we go through the budget process with this, they all have a percentage increase every year in them. So one of the reasons why they gave us the discount to begin with is we were a part of them expanding this software into other local governments. It was built particularly for a local government. They realized that they had a good product and it was the best fit for us, as well as Henry County, who was our mentor in standing up probation. So we were very surprised when they offered the discount in the beginning. It was just bear with us and thank you for trusting us to move forward in this process. I'm really surprised that they have kept it in place as long as they had. We initially thought that it was going to be a 1 year, and that's usually what you see as far as those types of incentives. So I guess we look at it based on all of the software increases that we're seeing in other areas, as we're kind of surprised they're not increasing, that what they're doing is just removing the discount.
Sure.
Felicia,
Yes,
is
sir.
Pronto Consulting our only option with this?
No, sir, they're not our only option. Almost 6-7 years ago, we looked at a couple of software options, and it was the best fit for us at the time, and I do still feel that it's the best fit. I would like to add what Ms. Duke stated, as far as, you know, they did personally call me and let me know about the price increasing. Well, I didn't have a price increase, so this is the exact same thing that we were already budget for. I budget for that amount without the discount. So they actually offered help to us, and they're still helping us for helping them.
You keep your eye on options though, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir. I do. Yes, sir. I do. I
We all
promise.
do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
If there's no other questions, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
My motion is that we approve and authorize you to sign the agreement.
Okay, I have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement. Second. I have a second by Mr. Weisenbaker. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 8C is the Bemis Springs acceptance of water and sewer infrastructure. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, sir. Bemis Springs subdivision is located on Bemis Road near the intersection of Bemis and Studstill. Utility staff has made the final inspection on the project, and the utility work is complete and constructed to county standards and specifications. Staff recommends acceptance of the water and sewer infrastructure for Bemis Springs subdivision. Authorize the chairman to sign the resolution.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Stoughton?
Don't hate me, but yes.
Go right ahead.
Is that E1 or is it gravity?
It's gravity.
Okay, that's it. I'm out of questions.
No problem. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 9A is our one bid item, and this is the 2024 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant, known as LMIG, and this is for resurfacing. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. The 2024 LMIG application was approved by the commission at the January 8th, 2024 meeting. The grant was approved by the Georgia Department of Transportation, and staff advertised the project for bids. The LMIG resurfacing bids presented include resurfacing the following roads: Briarwood Road, Dasher Grove Road, River Road, Old US 41, East Ridge Drive, Laurelwood North, Laurelwood South, Meadowwood Circle, Springbrook Drive, Summerfield Drive, Fiddler's Bend Drive, Pebble Creek Drive, and Sandy Run Drive. The details for each road are listed in your packet. Bids were opened on May 2nd, 2024, and staff received 2 bids. The low bidder was the Scruggs Company at $1,194,081.20. Reams and Sons bid was $1,614,087.02.
Any questions for Mr. McLeod?
I did, but I asked Commissioner Weisenbaker.
All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the Scruggs Company as the low bidder and authorize you to sign the contract for $1,194,081.20.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Scruggs Company as the low bidder and authorize the chairman to sign the contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 10, County Manager's Report. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a follow-up to everyone's comments regarding the ACCG and Todd being here and Representative LaHood's award, I just want to thank the entire commission for all the heavy lifting through the SDS process. While Walter was keeping things going in the background with the legal recommendations, there were numerous drafts that all of you spent a lot of time going through and asking questions, and there was a lot of heavy lifting and time that you all committed to that process. And I think that when local government is able to do that and our state partners are engaged and everyone, as Representative LaHood said, keeps the entire community at the forefront of what's best for everyone, then great things happen. And the SDS update is an example of that. So I just want to thank you all individually for everything that you all did. I know the chairman and I were points of contact. Walter, again, was working on the legal. But probably only I know how many drafts you all went through, and there were, late night emails back and all of those things. So thank you for everything that you did to keep that process moving forward as well. Tomorrow from 11:30 to 1, we will be hosting a CASA Lunch and Learn at Quiet Pines. You all are aware that we already have CASA representatives that are going through the training process. That program has really exploded over the last year thanks to good leadership, Commissioner Evans' continued oversight there. So if you're interested in learning more particularly about CASA, there's a Lunch and Learn tomorrow from 11 to 1:30 at Quiet Pines. On Thursday, we will kick off our inaugural event at the green space created on the old Griner property next door with the Chamber of Commerce's current cornhole tournament. Registration begins at 5 o'clock, and the first bags will be thrown at 5:30. There'll be food trucks, and this is a professionally run tournament, so if any of you would like to experience that firsthand, we have some staff that's participating. I will be there, so come out and spend some time with us Thursday evening. Then following that, Friday morning at 7:30, the United Way will kick off their Day of Caring at Unity Park, so you're certainly invited to that kickoff as well. Then on Saturday, Wild Adventures is hosting Habitat for Humanity Day. We will have a proclamation from the county, and that ceremony is from 11:30 to 1. If you'd like more information on that, please let me know. Then on Tuesday, May the 21st at 10 a.m., VLPRA will be cutting the ribbon on our first public pickleball courts here in Lowndes County, which is very exciting. On Wednesday, May the 22nd, our annual hurricane briefing will be held from 10 to 11:30 at the historic courthouse under the leadership of Mr. Ashley Ty and then our friend Kelly Godsey from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. We have 2 bags that we have provided for you. Our departments are all collecting canned goods for COLA during the month of May, and we will give them to them the first of the month in June, and then they will give us those bags back, and we will do it all over again in June. So if any of you have any Sunday school classes or civic groups or just your home personally that you would like for us to you would like to help us collect food for COLA, we're looking for those non-perishable items. And then you have a second bag. Ms. Gail Finley called and reached out and asked about having a public event to hand out hygiene items at the DFACS or the Human Resources Building in June. And so our departments are also collecting basic hygiene items. So your second bag is for that if you would like to participate with our departments as well in those 2 drives. And then the flags will be at half-staff tomorrow in recognition and remembrance of Peace Officers Memorial Day. So if any of you need any additional questions about these events, please let me know. I'd like to thank all of our staff that's involved in planning them. These things don't go off without a lot of planning and preparation there. And thank you all for allowing us to not just serve our community, but participate as well. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? All right, we'll move on to our citizens wishing to be heard, and we have one citizen, Mr. Mark Perkins. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Mark Perkins, and I live at 5530 Timberwind Circle in Lake Park. And I'm here to try to get some answers in regards to what the current status is of the burn ordinance in Lowndes County. I have been given some guidance from the EPD, district manager, to work with the county commissioners in regards to certain issues that myself and my family and some of the area residents in the area that we live on certain things that we feel are not necessarily abided by. So, and in my thought process, I would like, if there's a way for myself to work with someone about certain aspects. One in particular is a way to monitor, to verify the use of an air curtain destructor and a pit in the residential areas. Valdosta actually has a process they use that's on their guidelines, and I would like to see at least something along those lines where that process is used. Another is that we live in an R1 subdivision, but it's a circle and it goes around a pond, and the people on the pond side of that, their properties are mostly in the water, and then they're condensed, but their property actually extends into the water. And then we've actually had some R10 homes built on the exact same circle, of course, would fall into that area of burning first and third Saturdays of the month. What we would propose is that R1 be added into the dense populated building population for them to only burn the first and third Saturdays of the month in that aspect. As a husband of a wife that has a hypersensitivity and respiratory issues, she is not able to enjoy when certain things are going on. And the smell just the smell of smoke causes issues. And then the smoke itself, of course, is an issue in itself in the state of Georgia. So just moving one more aspect away from her having to endure, and the residents of our area to endure smoke every day of the week that they can burn, because they're allowed to if they want to, where the person across the street cannot. So, the proposal to move R1 into that just, to me, makes logical sense. Another thing, I know other counties, not particularly Lowndes County, but I believe Gwinnett County has a process that individuals that have a respiratory illness, they have a way to submit to the fire marshal, a way to get an area around their residence, whatever size that might be, a circular mile or a half mile, whatever that may be, to apply for a restriction in burning because of I'm sure you're aware that burning of leaves is very caustic. It can cause problems in everyone, but that particular matter, according to the EPD, is very caustic and can cause illnesses for everyone. I wasn't quite as prepared. I should have been here 2.5 years ago. We moved to Lake Park from North Lowndes County. When I retired from the Marine Corps, we moved back. And I retired from working in the Lowndes County area. And now we moved from North Lowndes County and never had an issue until we moved to Lake Park. And another aspect in that, as Lake Park has grown, they burn any day, whether R10 or whatever. At least that's what I was told from the fire chief some years ago. It would be, and I'll speed this up as quickly, it would be nice that we could get together with Lake Park and ask if they could move their burning from every day, just like the rest of Lowndes County. I know they're not the unincorporated portion, it's just something, the interaction between municipalities would be great. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Commissioners, any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.